Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
And here are tonight's main stories.
Horror as a man is injured after being attacked by a dog in Sheffield.
I see his arms all bleeding here and all down his chest, all bleeding, and the people from the surgery, they put him bandage on.
Flying future, the council pledges to find a way to reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport.
Waving goodbye to Warnock, I'm live at the John Smith Stadium ahead of Neil Warnock's final game as manager of Huddersfield Town.
And at least this morning's very unsettled weather conditions are clearing for that match in Huddersfield. I'll have the full forecast for the rest of the week for the whole of the region a little later on.
But first tonight, a man is being questioned by police in Sheffield after a dog dragged another pet owner into a busy road, leaving him with serious injuries to his chest and arm. As armed police were drafted into the area, neighbours tried using a wheelie bin to fend off the animal.
Well, graphic CCTV footage shows the moment the bull mastiff type dog leaps at the man as he's carrying his own small dog while walking along a pavement in the city. The victim's been treated in hospital. Well, we should warn you that John Hill's report contains images you may find distressing.
The day after the night before, and police have been gathering evidence in the Handsworth Road area of Sheffield. It was here at around 20 to 6 last night that the events unfolded. CCTV footage shows a man carrying his own small black dog desperately trying to fight off a larger tan-coloured dog, which it's believed had jumped over a garden wall onto the pavement. The attacking animal latches onto the arm of the man and drags him into the road, but still it clings on. A driver then mounts the curb, seemingly in an attempt to try and scare off the dog. The attack happened outside the home of Miran Hassan.
He said, I'm just coming down from the road to go home. I believe he's living around the corner. And then he said the dog's jumping out the fence, coming for his dog. Like he said, my dog's puppy, I don't let him to bite him, my dog. He said, I hold him, and then he grabbed him. And he said, oh, I've been attacked by the dog. So I see his arms all bleeding here and all down his chest.
As staff from the local GP's surgery tended to the man's wounds, a neighbour tried to contain the dog and move it away using Miran's wheelie bin.
Through the blue bin, the dog was there front of him. He's taking blue bin front of himself to protect himself, to scare the dog to go back to the house.
Police say the victim suffered serious injuries to his arm and chest, but added the wounds weren't, in their words, life-threatening or life-changing. But one dog behaviour expert says dog attacks can so clearly be a matter of life or death.
Well, in the sort of horrendous situation that anyone would find themselves being attacked by a dog, I think the key thing is to protect all of your vital areas as best as you can, because once a dog starts attacking somebody, then it is really a case of self-preservation.
Well, South Yorkshire Police say they're aware that last night's attack will have caused concern among people living nearby, and obviously, of course, those who witnessed just what happened. Officers are now trying to build up an exact picture of just what did happen. That work goes on, but in the meantime, they're seeking to reassure people that the dog has been seized and removed from the area. A 53-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of having a dog dangerously out of control. Police are appealing for witnesses. John Hill, ITV News, Sheffield.
Yes, shocking pictures there. Now, next tonight, two men who were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping schoolboy Andrew Gosden 16 years ago have been released by police. The 14-year-old, who was from Doncaster, went missing in September 2007.
The pair had been arrested 2 years ago on suspicion of kidnap and human trafficking, but today police confirmed they played no part in his disappearance.
Well, our reporter Jonathan Brown has been following the story. And Jonathan, what have the police had to say about this development?
Well, Ian, detectives have been investigating Andrew's disappearance now for well over a decade, and in that time this has become one of the most high-profile missing persons inquiries in the country. Now, South Yorkshire Police say that during that time they've been doing everything they possibly can to try to find out what happened to Andrew, but in the last few hours they have confirmed that 2 men that they arrested back in December 2021 have now been eliminated from their inquiries. They say that they interviewed both men, who were aged 38 and 45 at the time they were arrested, and that they also seized a number of items from them, but since then they are now satisfied that those men weren't involved in what happened to Andrew. The man leading their investigation on behalf of South Yorkshire Police, Detective Inspector Andy Knowles, says that their investigation remains open and that anyone with information as to what happened should still come forward.
And Johnny, has there been any word from Andrew's family about this?
Well, today's developments come just after the 16th anniversary of Andrew's disappearance. In fact, Calendar spoke to Andrew's father, Kevin, just last week about just how much he misses his son. Now, today, Kevin and Andrew's mother, Glenys, released a joint statement saying that their hearts go out to the men who've been exonerated, but they've also said that as a family, our emotional reaction is to feel that after so much effort over the past 16 years, we remain no closer to knowing what happened to Andrew.
Yeah, it must be terrible for them. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for bringing this up to date there. Thank you.
Well, next tonight, there is fresh hope that planes could once again be taking off from the former Doncaster Sheffield airport. It comes after the City Council said that from Monday they would be looking for an operator to run the airport, which of course is currently shut down.
Yes, Doncaster Sheffield closed last year after owners Peel said it was economically unviable to keep it open. Since then, there's been a campaign to reopen the site, as Martin Fisher reports.
A wet and windy Doncaster Sheffield airport today. The only aircraft visible, the former RAF Vulcan bomber, now stored here. It's unlikely to ever fly again. But will commercial jets ever take to the skies here again? Doncaster Council certainly hope so.
We are at the beginning of the negotiations for a lease. We're looking for 100 years plus. We will be looking for an operator to be working alongside of us, which will ultimately pick up the cost of the lease.
The lease of the airport remains with owners Peel, but the city's Chamber of Commerce feels a deal could be in the air.
The local authority must be absolutely super confident they're going to get that deal done with Peel. You know, they've got a lot of credibility on the line with this, and they simply wouldn't be going out to market, engaging with those credible big investors if they didn't think they could get this over the line with Peel.
Now, the report that's gone before Doncaster Council today says that if it's reopened, the airport could turn a profit within 5 years, and that would bring in billions of pounds to the local economy, as well as creating around 16,000 jobs. For former airport baggage handler Brad Taylor from Retford, the reopening of Doncaster Sheffield would be a dream come true. He loved working there, but was made redundant in January. He's now due to start a college plumbing course.
I would cut losses again and drop what I'm doing to go back, because I did enjoy the career, and it's not always about money. It's of course enjoying what you do for a living. I could see the pressure they're putting on now, and a lot of looking for investors. I do 100% believe it could reopen and be successful.
And he's not alone in wanting the airport to reopen. Mark Chadwick set up the Save Doncaster Sheffield group. He says a reopened airport is vital for business.
Avis Rent-A-Car had a stand there. We used to go and collect their vehicles and service for them, and we service vehicles for the mechanics, the maintenance departments for the aircraft. So, you know, I don't expect to get that business back, but that's just a little bit of it. It's got to do a lot for the economy.
There's much more work to be done if scenes like this are ever to return to Doncaster Sheffield Airport. But for many, they're hopeful today's developments will see the reopening dream take flight. Martin Fisher, ITV News in Doncaster.
And we'll let you know what happens, of course. Now, still to come on Wednesday's calendar, calls for improvements to footpaths that link our towns and cities to the countryside.
And it was definitely bad hair day weather today. Some very strong and gusty winds. Not the best for walkies either. Sorry, Finn. And if you got caught in a downpour, it was a very soggy situation indeed. The weather for the rest of the week, a little later on.
More of the day's news now, and a doctor who raped a woman in South Yorkshire and threatened her with scissors has been banned from working in medicine. Vibor Garg attacked the victim in Sheffield while staying at the same address. He'd been jailed in February for 11 years but has now been struck off the medical register by a tribunal panel.
Work to remove and replace the footbridges over Armley Gyratory in Leeds is due to start later this month. The major project to transform the junction has been ongoing since last year. The next stage of the work involves upgrading 3 footbridges which were built 50 years ago. The first, which weighs 50 tonnes, will be taken out by one of the world's most powerful cranes.
Now then, it's something few people are fortunate enough to avoid these days. Household bills going up and up. And on the day it's revealed the rate of inflation fell slightly in August, a new report suggests the average person is still spending around 70% of their income on bills before anything else.
And after taking inflation into account, people are spending around twice as much on essentials like electricity, gas, water and food than they were 30 years ago. Kevin Ashford reports.
So the best that we could get it with another company is £1,297, which is £450 more than it is at the moment.
Terry Barnes recently had some bad news about her household finances. Her fixed-rate mortgage had come to an end. Her new deal is a lot more expensive per month. She says she and her partner are already very careful with their expenditure.
The house actually has solar panels, so we only use like the washing machine, dishwasher, everything like that when the solar panels are working. Obviously that saves a lot of money. Make a shopping list and just stick to that, like don't get anything extra. We've not really been on holiday abroad. We used to go on holiday like 3 times a year, but we've not been on holiday abroad for 3 years now. And yeah, just watching what we spend really, like trying to save as much as we can.
Data from more than 30 different sorts of household bills, like housing, energy, groceries and broadband, have gone into a new study which suggests that Terry is not alone in feeling a financial squeeze. The Household Money Index calculates that the average person in Leeds, for example, is spending £46.15 per day on total living costs. That's more than 78% of the average income in the city. Those behind the index also looked at figures from 3 decades ago and found that household bills have gone up by 1.5 times the rate of inflation since then.
We've calculated it based on similar bills adjusted for inflation, and the amount is staggering. It's not looking at anything that's new or anything that's an extra. It's just literally what we're spending to get by. And I think so many households are struggling that you can see why that's the case.
The study also found that younger people in the 18 to 34 age group are spending a higher proportion of their income on daily living costs than the over 55s. The index is set to be published annually as a barometer of the nation's spending habits. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Now, after calendar, it's the ITV Evening News. Here's Mary Nightingale with details of what's on the programme tonight.
Coming up in the programme, the Prime Minister's green gamble. Rishi Sunak waters down key climate policies affecting cars and homes. We'll have all the reaction and we'll look at why he's doing it. Also tonight, a Met police officer is charged with murder for the shooting of an unarmed man, Chris Cubber, a year ago. Pomp and pageantry in Paris as the King meets President Macron. And the world's oldest post office saved by a bid from across the Atlantic. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Thank you, Mary. We certainly will. Here on calendar, though, it's now time for some sport and Neil Warnock's last stand at Huddersfield Town.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Well, you know, Lisa, it's not often, is it, that a football manager leaves and is given a hero's send-off, but that's exactly what's expected at the John Smith Stadium this evening.
Yes, the inimitable Neil Warnock returned to Huddersfield Town in February, 20 years after his last spell there, and he pulled off, of course, that miraculous escape from relegation. Yes, well, on Monday it was announced he'd be leaving, and tonight's game against Stoke will be his last in the Town dugout. Well, our man Chris Dawkes is live for us at the John Smith Stadium this evening. And Chris, what sort of reception do you think we're expecting for Neil tonight?
Oh, Ian, he'll be the star of the show, won't he? Whatever happens on this pitch behind me in this game against Stoke here this evening, he's going to be the centre of attention, just how he likes it as well. The question is now, of course, is will this be the last we see of Neil Warnock? He might be 74 now, but he's transformed himself from a promotion specialist to a relegation escapologist. And you won't be surprised that come February, March time next year, another club in trouble comes calling. This is what he had to say earlier in the week.
I think we've put the pride back into the club. I think when I came it was all fractions and my health is very good, by the way. I saw people saying I'm leaving because of my health. Well, I've never felt better. You know, you say about retirement, but if anything, I've got the buzz again. I really feel well, and I'm sure when February comes round there'll be one or two people asking me to come out again.
Well, I'm joined now by the town fan and the host of the And He Takes That Chance podcast, Richard Cosmalo. Richard, Neil Warnock said he restored the pride in this football club. Would you agree with him?
Not half, Chris. Here we are, another Neil Warnock leaving do. We thought we had it in May and another one's coming up. Unbelievable. We were absolutely dead and buried when he took over. We thought Northampton and Stevenage were our venues for this season, and yeah, the guy's done it, but he's done it in his true way. Really, he's united the club, united the town, and yeah, it's a bittersweet moment. Really, I think it's emotional really tonight, and not a dry eye in the house. About 20 to 10 tonight when his final game's come and gone.
He's only been here 7 months or so, but are you going to miss him?
Absolutely. His press conferences are gold, really. Some of the stuff he comes out with, the way he speaks to the players, you just can't get away with it now in modern management, really. He's just got a style of his own, and obviously it's like Marmite, but I think there's a lot of clubs around the country who'll be trying to get his phone number to try and get him out of the mess that they'll be in. But yeah, what a ride, and we loved him in the first spell and even more now.
Richard, there's a lot of speculation going around that maybe Darren Moore's the man to fill those rather sizable shoes that Neil Warnock will vacate. Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a coup for Huddersfield Town. I'll be honest with you, it's split the fan base. I think quite a few fans think it's a bit of an underwhelming appointment, but the guy's left every club where he's been in a good spell. He's got a decent win rate ratio. He'd be good, I think, bringing young players through, and I like the guy as well. So he could have sat on his sofa for a lot more and gone to another club, but the fact it looks like he wants to get back in management with Huddersfield Town, I think it's a real good signing for us. So yeah, I hope everyone comes around to his appointment if it is him.
Richard, thanks for joining us tonight. Enjoy that match. Well, this isn't the only Championship game taking place this evening. Rotherham are at Millwall as well, and Leeds United, well, they're at Hull City as well. And Arif Ahmed is there for us this evening. Arif, is it going to be a feisty atmosphere over there in East Yorkshire?
Oh, it certainly is, Chris. Welcome to the MKM Stadium, which will be sold out tonight for what it will be East Yorkshire meeting West Yorkshire, and Hull City fans will look to create a real hostile atmosphere here tonight, but it'll be one Leeds United are quite used to. They went to Millwall at the weekend and won 3-0, so that'll give them real confidence coming here tonight. And manager Daniel Farke says he has much appreciation and much respect for his opposite number in the dugout, Liam Rosenior, but he says he's coming here for all 3 points.
I always liked his thoughts about football, his man management, and in general, I think it's a really, really good possession side who asks questions, especially with their quality in possession. I think it's a tough place again, so more or less a complicated task like each and every championship game. But yeah, we have to be ready again, and we want to go there and want to be successful as well.
Well, Leeds United are really coming into form in the Championship. They've got 7 points in the last 3 games and they look to pick up back-to-back wins for the first time this season. I have to say it's been a horrible day in Hull. The rain thankfully has stopped, Chris, but we're all set here for a 7:45 kick-off.
Well, that's good news, Arif. Thanks for joining us this evening. OK, on to last night's action now. And Sheffield Wednesday still searching for their first Championship win of the season. Last night's game against fellow winless side Middlesbrough was halted 15 minutes in when tennis balls were thrown onto the Hillsborough pitch by Wednesday supporters in protest against the running of the club by owner Dayfon Chansiri. As for the football itself, well, it was a game of 2 halves. Wednesday deservedly going in at half-time a goal up, but Middlesbrough having the better of the second half and finding an equaliser. Barnsley missed out on the chance to go top of League One. They were 3-0 down to Portsmouth after only 16 minutes at Oakwell. The Tykes threatened a comeback with 2 second-half goals, but ultimately came up short It finished 3-2. And in the EFL Trophy, Doncaster beat Everton's under-21s team by 2-0. Now, Scunthorpe United have been put up for sale just 8 months after a change of ownership. The Iron, who were relegated to the National League North, the 6th tier of English football in April, were taken over by David Hilton in January. In a statement on Scunthorpe's website yesterday, Mr. Hilton confirmed a winding up petition had been issued to the club and that he expected another shortly from the HMRC, but told supporters not to be concerned. Well, that's it from me this evening. Will Warnock hoping for a win in his final game here at the John Smith Stadium. We'll have the best of the action and reaction on Calendar tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Chris. Enjoy the game tonight, won't you? Thank you.
Now, we know, don't we, Ian, that getting out for a walk in the countryside or in our parks is really good for our health and well-being.
Yes, but a lack of investment in many of our region's paths linking towns and cities with the countryside could be making access to nature more difficult for many people. Now, a walking charity is calling for improvements, as Catherine Walker reports.
Stepping outside and getting into nature is one of life's simple pleasures, with benefits for both our physical and mental health. This group, that leads walks for Muslims across Yorkshire, says everyone should have access to green spaces.
For many ethnic minority communities, simply geography can be a huge issue. Many of the natural green spaces, the countryside, is so far from urban spaces that travel itself can become a barrier. Finance, the cost of living crisis can somewhat compound already existing barriers. People just don't know where to go.
There's over 140,000 miles of public rights-of-way across England and Wales, giving everyone free access to the countryside. But a new report shows these paths aren't spread out equally across the country. The study, which is the first of this kind, shows that people living in affluent areas have 80% more paths in their neighbourhood. When it comes to ethnicity, the study revealed that less diverse areas have 144% more paths.
There's a huge gap in equality, where the
Concerns about the impact this could have on people's health, the president of the Ramblers wants the government to invest in better footpaths.
I'm really shocked about the report. It's basically showing that if you're wealthy, healthy and white, you've got a huge percentage chance of being near paths that are, accessible to go out walking. I think what we need to do about it is create more path networks, join them up in areas where people actually need them.
It's a step backed by ITV doctor Amir Khan. A Bradford GP, he's seen firsthand the health benefits of the great outdoors.
And what do you want the government to do about this then?
I think green spaces like this should be accessible to everyone. There's no point me telling a patient of mine, you're feeling low, you're feeling anxious, get on 2 buses on a train and you'll end up somewhere nice like this. They should be able to walk out their front door and walk here within a few minutes. And that's key. So every city, every area should have a green space that people can access easily.
In a statement, the government told ITV News they have invested £14.5 million to improve access to green spaces for all sections of society. Their ambition is to get everyone within a 15-minute walk of nature. And today, the Ramblers hope this research will help show them the right path forward. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
Catherine Walker. Do you get it?
Yes, perfectly named. Apt for it. I do get it.
Perfect. Perfect.
And here's Kerry.
It wasn't really walking weather today,
was
was
it? Not earlier today, especially.
Yeah, yesterday and today, wet and windy. And we had that weather front coming down from the northwest, which gave us certainly an unsettled spell for the first half of the day. And it all kicked off yesterday, didn't it? This was Clumber Park. A big thank you to Steve Bradley. He said it was it was more like the North Sea, really choppy. Yesterday we peaked at 56 miles an hour, those gusts over the Emily Moor, and today it was actually out towards the North Sea where we got 48 miles an hour. And the River Aire quite swelling in full flow near Bookwood in Baildon. A big thank you to Matt Patton for sharing, but a beautiful photo nonetheless. Weather photos at itv.com. Looking very pretty in close-up, very autumnal. Some raindrops there on the the spider's web. A big thank you to John Victor for sharing. And we did have some sunshine, actually, out towards the coast at Whitby. A double rainbow spotted by a couple of you first thing, then we got the front coming through, and now it's started to dry up and clear up, and that's going to give us a pretty chilly night tonight, certainly compared to last night. It was really warm. Our September stats so far actually really warm, between 4 and 5 degrees above the average what we'd expect for the time of year, and it's actually going to stay mild overall for the rest of the month and into the start of October, but it's just the next couple of days where it's going to feel a little bit chilly. I've looked at the last photograph that we had of a touch of frost, and this is Guiseley, late April. I think it was the 27th of April. A big thank you to Matt Barker for sharing that. Yeah, just a touch of frost possible, and most likely for us into the early hours of Saturday morning when we'll get the combination of the clear skies and also the light winds. So what's happening? Well, the jet stream that's coming through from the west, I mentioned Hurricane Nige. It's going to fizzle out, but it sort of gets pepped up by that jet stream as we head towards Sunday. So it could be mild, wet and windy by Sunday, but you can just see those blues there, a touch of frost under those clear skies. And here's all the detail, your forecast for the next few days.
Good visibility on the horizon. TIRI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, after that thoroughly unsettled start to most parts of the region during the course of this morning, things are looking better. Having said that, looked fairly pretty despite being very blustery at Scarborough first thing. And this was Whitby, a rainbow before the cloud and the rain worked its way in. A big thank you to Hyun G Lee for sharing the shot. Blustery conditions over the next few days, a mixture of sunshine and showers, but colder nights to come under clearer skies, especially as the winds do become lighter by the end of the week. But that was the cloud and rain that worked its way in from the northwest during the course of today. A weather front sinking south and east, but already some clearer spells starting to nudge in, and we're under these clearer skies as we head deeper into tonight. So it's an improving story over the next few hours or so. Still the risk of a few sharp showers, but most places, certainly after midnight into the early hours, becoming dry and clear, and therefore chilly, certainly compared to last night where it was relatively mild and we stayed in double figures, certainly in rural spots in shelter from that light southwesterly breeze. The temperatures will be down into the mid-single figures, 4s and 5s by dawn. So it's a fresher start as we head into tomorrow. 6:49 and 7:08 are your sun times. Best of the blue sky, though, as we head into tomorrow morning. As the day progresses, there's more of a mix. We are expecting sunny spells and showery outbreaks. Could be heavy, potentially thundery into the afternoon, but some blue sky in between, 17 or 18 Celsius. And the winds definitely lighter compared to the last few days, but they will be fairly gusty where we get any showery outbreaks. Then low pressure to the northeast of the UK. A fresh northwesterly on Friday. Sunshine and showers. Cold start on Saturday, but it's probably the best day of the weekend.
TIRI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go. A few showers tomorrow, but definitely better for walking, I say.
I think this weather's playing havoc with my cats, I don't mind telling you. They don't like it.
Do they not?
No.
Not like getting wet?
No.
Oh, I don't blame them, really. Well, that's all from us now. I'll be back at 10:30.
Have a good evening, won't you?
We'll see you then.
Bye.